So you got a new album out, coming out on Friday called The Third Gleam, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, we do.
For folks who are unaware, there were two other Gleams much earlier than this, quite a while ago. So
Yeah.
what brought on The Third Gleam?
Well, I think we imagined we would do the third one much sooner, but we squeezed the second one out just as we went into Rick Rubin's world and into the world of major labels, and we just got so busy, and we have been ever since, and we're still in the Rick Rubin world, but we've managed to take control of our schedule enough to make time for quieter, smaller moments, and that's what this, that's what the Gleam's about. The smaller,
right, because it's just a trio, moments. Isn't it? Acoustic trio on the record.
Yeah, tops, and several of the songs are just Seth and I.
Right. So the three of you, did you have a discussion about this before you went into it? Were the songs already floating around? How did it come together?
That's organic enough right there, but I guess it's even a little more organic in that Seth and I try not to meddle in each other's songs on this project. So Seth brought 4, I brought 4. We didn't really talk a lot about what the themes or concepts were, and we just put them in the pot and to find out what it was, But we knew that if it was simple and it was just the two of us, and there were Gleam-centric sort of songs that would make sense. So, as little talking about it as we can do is best, I think.
And the third part of the Gleam trio is Bob. Is it Crawford? Yeah.
Crawford. Yeah. Bob, original.
He's playing bass.
Yep. And he's the three of us. We started more or less started the Avett Brothers. So he's been around since 2001, I guess.
Right.
Or 2000.
So how is because obviously you and Seth are brothers and you have your own relationship going on there, and then with Bob, and has it changed much over the 20 plus years that you've been doing this?
I mean, of course it's changed. I think we've been on a pretty natural trajectory of growing together as a family. You put people together. We've had lots of troubles with each other. We've had disagreements, and we've had great times. We've had very sad times. We've seen a lot, and we've played a lot of places, and we made a lot of things. And so it's changed in ways I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know the guy that I was, when we started.
I hear you.
Thankfully.
I think a lot of us feel that way. So
of course,
I can relate.
You hope. Yeah, you hope. You hope you're not like, well, when I was 26, I'm the exact same guy as I am now. And be like, no, that's not.
No. Thank God for that. So you mentioned that you and Seth have both each written 4 songs on the record. Mm-hmm. For myself, as a relative layperson, would I be able to tell the difference? Do you guys have a different approach to songwriting?
I think so. I think it's pretty clear in that Seth, maybe for lack of a better term, Seth is maybe more organized than I am. So in this particular record, it comes out as more intentional narrative songs. Not always necessarily about. For the most part, they're about him directly, but they come out in a little more storytelling narratively, where mine come out as more like personal expression, if you will, or personal vulnerability, maybe slightly more abstract at times. So I think it's pretty obvious in that way. Mine are certainly more looking inward and dealing with psychological issues that I hope transfer to, at least that's how I transfer those things to social and bigger worldly issues whenever I think about them. And I think Seth does the same thing with narrative.
Right. So the album, is it an album or an EP? I don't even know anymore.
It used to be an EP, but I think now
it's like 33 minutes
they're
long.
letting they're letting 8 songs be an album now. So call it what you will, right?
Exactly. So the opening track is a thing called Victory, and it has a kind of a cool opening line. I don't write because I don't think. So it obviously, whoever, did you write that or did?
I did. That would be, yeah. And that's, one of my common lies, I guess, because both of them are untrue. But yeah, Victory is one that I brought to the table, which is basically, I would just say, is a song about not the shedding of, but I guess the awakening to, you're a grown man, you understand this, when we kind of get our ego put in check.
Right.
And not the shedding of it, but just maybe identifying it and knowing when it's at work and knowing when it's maybe making it a little smaller and taking it out of the driver's seat and realizing that I don't necessarily have to earn anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to earn any love. It's already there. And that's quite a relief when I started thinking that way and just entertaining that, I should say. So that's what that song's really about, coming from a place of victory.
Cool. And I read a quote, I think from you, that says the songs of this particular piece do connect to this particular time. So I assume you're referring to what's going on in the States at the moment, even though I'm sure that wasn't happening specifically when you wrote the songs. Do you see that the songs take on a different meaning with current events as they are?
I think they do, for sure. And it's interesting, other than the pandemic, in a lot of ways, these things were going on.
Yeah.
They, so, and they probably are going on a lot of places other than just the U.S., but we're just such a heightened awareness of all that right now. And for long term, for good, things are, I think things are pointed in the right direction. There's just so much struggle and so much pain in that process. But for me, and I was just raised this way, and I think Seth was too. We were raised to trust in ourselves, roll our sleeves up, and go do the work that we need to do. But then, furthermore, as I've gotten older, I think I've got to have a spiritual ground to land on, or I sure can't trust the boss in the White House. I sure can't trust. I just can't trust them. And even the best, the least of all the evils, you still just got to go, there's something way bigger at work. And if we trust in this, then there's a new freedom that we're not talking about red, white, and blue freedom. We're talking about a bigger freedom than that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's a big conversation, and everybody, I think, articulates it differently. And I don't try to step on that.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of current events, you wake up the next morning and it's another, especially because of the time difference here. It's like, what has happened now? And
I know
the following song, I should have spent the day with my family. There's a line about, turning on your phone, reading about a shooting. It seems pretty relevant to these days,
Yep.
It's just another one yesterday,
I know. And we reference you guys a lot in the way that you're, I guess, president. Is she your president?
Prime Minister.
Yep. How she handled that situation. There's a lot of admiration for that.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong for our country, I'm not sure. But
the shooter from the Christchurch massacre is appearing in court right now, today and tomorrow, and the victims, survivors are allowed to face him and make statements. And I saw some of those yesterday on TV, and it was just like, oh my, you can't even imagine what they went through,
No. It's so complex. And I would imagine in New Zealand there may be some similar things, because there's gun culture, and we also have and gun culture in its alone is not, I grew up around gun culture. I live in gun culture, and I've seen it done well. I've seen it done responsibly, but you add that with that availability, with whatever the disease is that's happening socially, like a societal disease, and there's just, oh my gosh, it's a rough mixture. So I don't know.
Here you're allowed to have a gun, but you have to jump through hoops. The police come and talk to you. They come and talk to your friends and your family. They make sure that you lock it up. They go through all that stuff. And I believe they did it with this guy, but there's something slipped through the cracks there. It just didn't quite work. And that was the result. So, it's not a perfect system.
That's all. Our contribution is for Seth and I, we, all of us, any feeling person, I think their heart bleeds when they see these things happen, either close to home, across the globe, whatever, across the ocean. But I think that Seth and I have reckoned with or reconciled with the reality that our contribution is writing songs and our relationship with it. And somewhere in that, I would imagine we're going to be off sometimes, and I'd imagine we're going to maybe say things that can be, I don't know if they'll be good, bad, whatever you want to call them, but our contribution is to try to sort it out through that expression, and hopefully it does something. It does something to stir or heal.
Yeah. And speaking of heartbreak and whatever, I mean, the news about Justin Townes Earl the other day was just devastating. I mean, he was up here and played in my place, when he was here in Auckland a few years ago, and he just the nicest guy and very talented. And, it's like
very special.
Yeah. I don't know if you had a relationship with him or not.
Well, I have a really interesting story because, I mean, we ran into Justin here and there. We all just run in the same circles. And we did a tribute, a BMI tribute. Well, Tom T. Hall was there, but we were playing Pro Tom T in Nashville. And it was, among the performers were us, Toby Keith, and Justin Townes Earl, and some others. Yeah. And Toby Keith was going to close it up. And this is a small, it was like a dinner party, but it was a small room. Like George Strait's there, it's jam full of the Judds. I mean, it was slam full of A-list country folks. And watching Justin perform, his vulnerability in that show was just ripped open. There was him, there was strength, there was insecurity, there was everything about him. We did our thing, and then Toby Keith did his performance, which I actually I was like, my gosh, Toby Keith blew my mind. I'd never seen him live, and I had my uneducated opinion about Toby Keith, and he killed it. And it was very sure of itself and very, very well done. But I kept going back after I heard the news of Justin night before last, and was like, man, he was just him up there, and you could. It was so precious. It was just so precious and so tender. And I think Justin was willing to show that. That's very brave. Yeah. Justin was a very courageous guy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when he came here, he performed Graceland for me up here, just the one song, the Paul Simon song. And, listening back to it under this context now is just absolutely devastating.
It is, man, it is. I miss him. I didn't say anything. I didn't. Sometimes it was almost too tender to even respond about it on social media. I was almost like, that just breaks my heart.
Yeah. Okay, back to the Third Gleam. What song would you like to address and go into a little bit with me about?
Well, we were talking about the songs I'll just say two. One, I was super excited about just sharing the expression of going to my heart versus thinking. So the Go to My Heart song, I was excited about releasing that because I feel like in the past couple of years, it's really been a great awakening for me to devalue my thinking process a little bit, and devalue my ability to think through anything, and devalue some of the words that I put together sometimes. So I just was excited to put that out there and just say that. Seth and I were talking about the songs yesterday with someone, and we were talking about not prison, but the Fire song. Right. And something was brought up that goes along with some of this social conversation was, it's an opportunity in that song to just hear perspectives and different points of view. And if anything, I know in our country, that is key right now. It's very important to be and personally, it's not just in your public life or in your communal life. It's personally being able to say, just because somebody is saying something that you don't think is quote unquote right or sounds like you would do it, instead of going, well, they're an idiot, or I don't know where they're coming from, or they're an idiot because they voted for so-and-so or voted for this or did that. Instead of doing that, go, you don't know where they got to, how they got to that.
That's and
there's a story there. And instead of making them your enemy because they don't see the way you do or think the way you do, I mean, just take a second, And I think that song sort of instigates that. The Fire song instigates that in a way by just telling stories of many people.
Yeah, because it closes out the album and it's like 6 minutes plus long, so
yeah,
it kind of stands out and really. And I don't know. For me, I took it as a song about a guy on death row, but I don't know if I'm right or not. Or
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. It really, that kind of overshadows the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty. So with the album coming out on Friday, what do you guys? I think did I see that you're doing some kind of show at a motor speedway?
We are. So Charlotte Motor Speedway is like 20 minutes from our or 25 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
So they have a massive screen there. So it's essentially a drive-in show.
Yeah.
And they can park 1,700 cars within the speedway. So we'll perform much more like a TV set performance than a big concert. But we'll perform, and people will be able to come and have a socially distanced, hopefully safe and successful evening.
Yeah. Are they going to be sitting in their cars watching?
They can sit in or on their cars. So that's the idea. And the Speedway's been doing drive-in movies, so they've kind of got the template dialed in.
Yeah.
And we have really thoughtful and caring fan base, and we've been so lucky, and we have a reputation where we go and play, and people just really they appreciate our fans. So hopefully, I'm not saying they're going to completely comply, but hopefully they will, and I think they will. And I think we got a good chance of it.
And of course, when they're sitting in their cars, they're going to honk their horns instead of applauding. So
I know. That's what we were saying. It's just going to be it's going to be a lot. But there's no PA. They're only getting the FM frequency, so it'll be interesting what happens there. Yeah.
And down the line, have you guys got plans for the next record, or are you thinking about it?
So right before the pandemic hit, we were scheduled we were going to be recording with Rick again, and that just fell apart. We were going to be in California, and it just slowly went from one thing to the next. And so we were ready, but I think now there's probably new songs developing in this time so there's sort of a lost, which is kind of good, because there'll be kind of a lost album in there that maybe will be great to make, that can so we made demos for the next one, but it's time to talk about that. We have the material for sure.
Right, because I know they're reissuing Tom Petty's Wildflowers with all sorts of, I don't know, was Rick Rubin involved with that one? Or I can't remember.
I bet he was. He's so in that camp. Yeah.
And what does he like to work with you guys?
Very easy. Like it was very just seamless. We grew into Rick, and we shared a lot of things, but we also learned a lot from Rick. And Rick, it's logical work. It's like natural and commonsensical, or sensible. It's not like lightning bolts and smoke. It's more like, obviously, yes, of course, we'll do it this way and that way, and then we'll pick, or we'll take that away, and it didn't need it. Hey, so it's kind of like an obvious way, and very natural and very subtle in a weird way, in a very
but at the same time, I mean, like you say, we're going to take this out because we don't really need it, but you need to trust a person to be able to know that they're right, or they are at least thinking in your best interest when that's happening.
That is right. That is correct. And we have friends that I don't think worked well with Rick, so our relationship with Rick is very specific, and there has been always trust, and he's gone to bat for us in many situations. He's advocated for us in every situation we've ever encountered with him, from music to business, and his trust is, we have his, and he has ours for sure.
Cool. Something to look forward to. Well, I hope the Third Gleam does well. Hopefully someday you can come down to Auckland and play for us when all this is over with.
I would love to.
It would be very cool.
Please, we would love to come see you.
Yeah, we got a great little venue around the corner called the Power Station. It'd be perfect for you.
Love it. I love it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, have a good day. Thank you for talking to me, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Marty. All right, man. Bye.